Hello, educators. My name is Carrie Cole with Side by Side Educational Consulting. Thanks so much for joining me for this final Quick Tip Tuesday in our series on practice strategies that help learning stick. So over the past few weeks, we've explored 3 different practice types. Let's start by taking a look at those practice types in a chart to review. Okay, starting at the top, massed practice. Now remember, massed practice focuses on intensity during initial learning. It's that concentrated burst of repetition when a new skill or concept is introduced, like practicing a new math skill with lots of problems to build accuracy and automaticity. Remember massed practice as repetition with intensity. Next up, space practice. Now, space practice is focused on when students learn. Instead of cramming, practice is spread out over days or weeks. For example, you teach World War I causes at the beginning of the week. You review it with bell ringers later in the week, and then revisit it with short written responses the next week. Remember, space practice as a little today, a little tomorrow, big impact later. Lastly, interleaved practice. So interleaved practice is focused on what students practice. Here we mix topics or problem types, so students must decide which strategy to use, like mixing previously taught short vowel CVC words with newly learned long A words to help students better distinguish between those sounds and spellings. Remember interleaved practice as mixing it up to promote long-term mastery. Now, let's look at one about all 3, retrieval practice. So retrieval practice is listed underneath all the practice types on the chart. That's because it focuses on how students practice by actively recalling information from memory rather than simply rereading or rewatching. Retrieval practice can take many forms: brain dumps, self-quizzes, cold calling, even quick turn and talk prompts. And here's the important part: retrieval practice amplifies every other type of practice. So when we think about massed practice, students can retrieve right after new learning through quick checks or oral rehearsal. In space practice, retrieval is what makes spacing so powerful. The effort of trying to recall after a delay strengthens memory far more than simply reviewing notes. In other words, the forget a little, remember again cycle only works if students are asked to retrieve, not just re-expose themselves to the content. And lastly, with interleaved practice, retrieval practice is what pushes students to flex their thinking. When multiple concepts or problem types are mixed together, students can't just rely on rote repetition. They must retrieve the correct strategy or idea for each problem, which then deepens discrimination and strengthens transfer. Let's not forget Dr. Anita Archer's reminder: perfected practice over time makes perfect and permanent. Retrieval practice is what makes that practice permanent, because every time students pull knowledge out of their brains, those neural pathways become stronger and more durable. So finally, as we close out this series, I want to give you a chance for reflection. Here are 3 guiding questions for you to think about. Which type of practice do you currently use the most? Which type do you use the least? What are your next steps for incorporating all 4 types of practice, massed, spaced, interleaved, and retrieval, into your teaching? The challenge is to think intentionally. How can you bring retrieval practice into your daily routines so that massed, spaced, and interleaved practice don't just build knowledge temporarily, but help students retain, apply, and transfer knowledge for the long term? Educators, thanks so much for joining me for this Quick Tip Tuesday series. Remember, mass practice gets it started, space practice makes it last, interleaved practice makes it flexible, and retrieval practice weaves through them all to make learning permanent. See you next time, and have a great rest of your week.